all of these documents that we're looking at all capture some pivotal moments in British political history since the Cabinet Minutes formally started in 1916. They are all very important documents held here at the National Archives. So this is a draft note drafted for the Prime Minister by Norman Brooke, the Cabinet Secretary. It's a draft response to an inquiry that has been sent to Anthony Eden by his Minister for Housing, Duncan Sands. And really what Duncan Sands is asking is, can you please share more information with the rest of your cabinet about your military plans for Suez? That's essentially what he's asking. And in this reply, there's a rather crucial passage, part of which has been crossed out. And when I looked at this, Anthony, I just thought, ooh, there's something significant going on here.
Well, indeed, the passage, Mark, you refer to, that's been crossed out in blue ink is, I would not widen that circle even if I wished to do so without breach of the security plan which we have agreed with the French government. So in other words, Prime Minister Anthony Eden is saying we cannot let more people know without a risk to national security, which is always the fallback for a Prime Minister about why information cannot be shared more widely. But what's also so interesting is that it's got marks over it in 3 different coloured inks in 3 different hands, a question there saying omit, and then a lot of work and rewriting in the middle of the page, and then at the top, written in red this time, the word top secret. In view of the point raised, I feel I should explain to you. Now presumably that is handwriting by Cabinet Secretary Norman Brooke.
I believe so. Now we're at December 1973, and of course a very difficult time for the country with an energy crisis. Oil prices were quadrupling, I think, around this time. A miners' strike it's getting underway, I think. The country's in a very difficult state, and here we have this memorandum by the Chancellor of the Exchequer of the time, Sir Anthony Barber, and really it's a document that kind of speaks for itself with its very first sentence, I think.
Yes, and this is interesting. This is only, of course, 2 months before the government fell in the general election at the end of February 1974, and this was a time of really grave economic crisis. The Chancellor says, as you point out, begins, the country is now facing the gravest economic crisis since the end of the war. Now, people are often given to exaggeration. That actually was completely right. This was indeed the biggest crisis since the end of the Second World War, 28 years before that document was written.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, you know, a month later that we were into the 3-day week and electricity having to be rationed. These cabinet minutes from July 1981 reflect an unusually heated debate in Mrs. Thatcher's cabinet, where there's a full discussion going on about economic strategy. You don't really have to read between the lines too much, Anthony, do you, when you look at what's being said here?
No, and of course we now know that this was a strategy that Margaret Thatcher had that worked out for many people in the country, if not for all. But at the time it was so contentious, not the least with economists disagreeing against it. So this document wonderfully captures the sense of angst and grave concern that cabinet ministers had about the direction that she was leading the country in, that they thought was economically far too severe and could be catastrophic. Marvellous document.
Here we've got cabinet minutes from the 8th of May 1997, and so the Blair government has just swept into power. There's a real kind of tide of sort of optimism, I guess, at this time, and some of this is reflected in these minutes, wouldn't you say?
So indeed, and not the least fascinating part, Mark, of these is that now we have computer-generated type with the word confidential at the top, whereas in the earlier documents, often it was a stamp saying secret or top secret. And here we have a beautifully justified text. But the Prime Minister said that the government's election the week before had created a sense of excitement in the country, and with a spirit of goodwill behind them, the government, the Prime Minister said, had made a favourable start. And he continues, it was essential to create a sense of common purpose within government and among the government supporters in Parliament, including the many members who had been elected to Parliament for the first time. So even there, he's giving a sense of, you better behave to Labour, the new Labour MPs.
Indeed. I think it is significant, isn't it? The very first point on the agenda, the conduct of the government. So, like many prime ministers before him, he's sort of setting out his sort of earnest sort of approach.
Yeah.
He's setting out his stall and saying this is going to be a new style of government in contrast to the others. But perhaps it doesn't always necessarily quite work out as prime ministers anticipate.
And indeed, one of the most fascinating things about all documents is we know that within 4 months, Princess Diana was going to be killed, and within 4 years, 9/11 was going to happen, and that whole sense of calm and order in the country and indeed in the world was going to be unsettled.
Yes,
The benefit of hindsight.
Hindsight, yes, yes.
Marvellous, thank you.
Thank you.